Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and happy draft day eve. Unless you're watching this on the day of the draft or after the draft. Well, I just want to be able to say welcome back to the channel. This is Jake with PackMan Sports with my final 2022 NFL mock draft. I'm going to do a full analysis for day one, just like last time. So with all of that, I'm going to get into this in just a quick second. Full disclosure, I am not going to be making the picks based off of what I think the team should do. I'm just making my best assumptions on what I believe the GMs for each of the 32 teams are going to do. And now with all of that, let's get to this mock draft. And starting off with the Jacksonville Jaguars being number one on the clock. This pick here, I believe, is going to be Aidan Hutchinson all the way. I know there's a lot of talk about Travon Walker being picked here. They could go with Travon Walker, and he'd be a very good, excellent fit for Jacksonville's 4-3 defense. And now going over to Detroit at number 2, this pick, I'm going to go with the last one that I had last time, and this one is going to be Travon Walker, the Georgia defensive end. What I said a little bit about Travon last time was that he was a really good fit for the 3-4 as being a 3-4 defensive end. Well, I believe that he can stand up and rush from the edge as well. This should be very good for the Lions. They're going to get a versatile player that he can play on the line and he can play on the edge. Now coming to number 3, the Houston Texans. There's a lot of some medical red flags being put out about Evan Neal. So I'm kind of having to think about what I want to do here for the Houston Texans. I think that Evan probably could possibly drop because of some medicals where some teams apparently have flunked him. But I think that Evan Neal is the best offensive tackle in this class, and I still think that the Houston Texans are going to take Evan. I think this just makes too much sense. You got the fit, and if Houston hasn't flunked him medically, it's going to be between him, Ike Ekwonu, and possibly Sauce Gardner for this pick. I believe all the way that they really need a right tackle, and I think Evan Neal is the best player that is available to the Houston Texans in terms of being able to get that offensive tackle to plug him into that spot where the void has been left by Marcus Cannon, who they just released a few months ago. Now up to the New York Jets. I'm going to go with the last pick that I had last time. This one is going to be Sauce Gardner, the big Cincinnati cornerback. He's just a really, really good fit for the New York Jets. I think what they want to do on defense, long, tall press corner. And now for the New York Giants, this pick is honestly a no-brainer here. They're going to go for Ike Ekwonu, the offensive tackle out of North Carolina State, because they really could use a right tackle after letting go of Nate Solder. And the offensive line for the Giants has just been bad, but it has steadily increased and they improved ever since getting Andrew Thomas. But now they just need to be able to get another blindside protector to protect Daniel Jones. So that's why I'm going to go with Ike Ekwonu here. And it would be great if the Giants could land either Neal or Ekwonu. And now at number 6, the Carolina Panthers. There's a lot of talk about the Panthers not taking a quarterback. There's been something on NFL.com saying that they are not going to select, they are unlikely to select a quarterback. This one, to me, I'm really, really fighting on this. I thought about a trade down scenario here for the Panthers because they don't have a second round pick or a third round pick. So I think it would make a ton of sense for them to trade. But I think Carolina they just need to find their answer at quarterback. And I know you can roll with Sam Darnold for another year, and then you can develop the Pittsburgh quarterback, Kenny Pickett. I believe that this pick probably is very likely to be Kenny Pickett. Let's just say that line season is up in order, and I think Carolina will fall in love with a quarterback. It's just going to be a matter of if it's going to be Pickett, if it's going to be Malik Willis. I think that there's a really, really good chance here that this pick is Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh, and I'm not going to back off of it. I think the Carolina Panthers they need a quarterback, and they're going to roll with a young guy for the future. And at number 7, the New York Giants are back on the clock after having being on the clock just one pick earlier. They were back on the clock again, and they are going to go for a free-falling outside linebacker that I just think that it would just be too tempting to pass up on. This one is Kayvon Thibodeaux out of Oregon, and the last time, the reason why I had the Giants taking Stingley is because there was all kinds of buzz around about trading James Bradbury, but so far there has been no movement really when it comes to that type of trade. Maybe they might wait till after the draft to trade away Bradbury and see what they come away with at the cornerback position, if they even decide to do it at all. So I think that an edge rusher just would make a whole ton of sense. You take Kayvon Thibodeau, pair him along with Azeez Ojulari, and you've got a good potential duo. And at number 8 for the Atlanta Falcons, they've missed out on an edge. They missed out on Thibodeau this time. That's okay. They've got a really good young pass rusher that's still available, Jermaine Johnson II out of Florida State. I know that they could go a lot of other different ways. Wide receiver is being talked about, but there's a lot of talent in the second round, and the Falcons just have so many more glaring needs outside of wide receiver. You have a whole entire defense that needs help. You need help at the pass rush. You need help along the defensive line. You need help at nose tackle. You need help at free safety. Corner could use a little bit of help as well. There just needs to be some defensive presence coming here to the Atlanta Falcons. Receiver is very much on the table, and if they do go for a wide receiver, I won't fault them one bit. For some reason, I'm just thinking from the perspective that they want to be able to go defense and really, really be able to bring some pass rush, which they lacked last year. At number 9, I'm going to go with the same pick, Charles Cross, offensive tackle. The Seattle Seahawks just need a left tackle. There's talks about possibly getting Dwayne Brown back, but he's an aging guy and is near the end of his career. I think if you want to be able to bring him back for another year, so be it. At the very meantime, you'll have a really good developing young offensive tackle in Charles Cross. Maybe he can start off at right tackle, and then maybe once Dwayne Brown's career is over, you could kick him back to the left side, and then there you go. Seattle should be pretty good for bookend offensive tackles, and there you go. And for the New York Jets, last time I had them taking a pass rusher, but they really seem to be looking at receivers, and they were going to try to trade this pick here, number 10, to Seattle for DK Metcalf. So I can see the possibility. So I see the New York Jets here taking a receiver here. This is where Garrett Wilson and Drake London are probably going to be picked here, is at number 10 or slightly past 10. Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State is a really, really good pick here for the Jets. I think that they can kind of bring a guy that's a little bit different from what they have. I know that they have Elijah Moore at slot receiver. Garrett Wilson is a little bit bigger than him, and I think he's a much more polished player. You have Denzel Mims, bigger receiver. Corey Davis, bigger receiver. Garrett Wilson is somewhere in between. And I think he would be a very good fit for the New York Jets, and give Zach Wilson a Wilson to throw the ball to. Now at number 11, I'm going to go with the same pick, Kyle Hamilton, strong safety. I think he could also possibly play free safety, but I think that strong is probably the best fit for him, as he's probably not really exactly the best for the deep middle of the field, whereas I think he might play as a really good inside the box safety. So this would really help a lot, as well as run support, and Hamilton would be a pretty good fit here for Washington at this juncture. And at number 12 for Minnesota, I think that this one has to be a cornerback, and I think with the availability of Derek Stingley Jr., this one would be a very good pick here for Minnesota. And the outside cornerback is a little bit of a question mark right at this point. They did bring back Patrick Peterson, but he is a little bit older. He's on a one-year deal. I think you can probably get younger at the position. And for the Houston Texans at 13, this one, they really could go a whole bunch of different ways here. I could see a trade down for more picks. Houston is rebuilding. To say the least, I think that they could go for anything. They could go for a corner, even though Stingley's off the board. I don't see anything for safety here after Kyle Hamilton. There's really not much of anything here at 13, even though they really, really need some help here at the safety position. This one, I think, is probably one of the better players available, and this is probably where I think that Drake London is a pretty good spot. The upside is pretty high. I know that people are down on him because he hasn't run a 40. That's mostly due to because of injury. Drake London just has a really tremendous skill set. He probably has the best hands. He's just a really, really big target, and I really think that's something where the Houston Texans might like to go. They do like bigger body receivers. They have a couple of guys. They have Nico Collins there. I know Cooks is more of a little bit of a smaller type of guy, but I think that's where the Houston Texans kind of like things, is to just to be able to get some more help there, and for Davis Mills to be able to get a pass catcher. At number 14, last time I had them going with Linderbaum, the center. This one, I just don't think so. Linderbaum is probably going to be picked at the later stages of the first round or the top of the second. The Ravens need some help at inside linebacker, so I think that they're probably going to go here for Devin Lloyd, the inside linebacker out of Utah, who is the best projected linebacker, and I think that he would be a tremendous fit for the Ravens. I really like what he could possibly do with Patrick Queen being able to form a really good duo for the Ravens at the inside linebacker position. They lost a few guys, and I think it just makes sense that they go for some help on defense and maybe address center a little bit later. And at number 15 for the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm going to go with the same draft pick, Jordan Davis out of Georgia. I think you want to think about some time after Fletcher Cox, who is an older defensive tackle. Jordan Davis is just a really good player, and it would be tough to pass up on him at this point if you're the Eagles. And the Eagles like to build up on the defensive line, so this pick just makes some sense to me either way. Number 16 for the New Orleans Saints, this one again is going to be Trevor Penning. They need a left tackle. Enough said. And number 17, the Los Angeles Chargers. This time, I think that they're going to go for another trade again, and the team that is coming up at number 17 is a team that has a lot of picks, and I know that they are going to want to make a trade for the player, and I think that is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. Believe it or not, they are going to give the Chargers an offer that they would probably have a hard time refusing. In this case, this is going to be for a second-round pick and a fourth-round pick. And in exchange, the Chargers are going to give the Chiefs back a fifth-round pick. So the Chiefs are going to hop up for a player that they just really, really think that they're going to target. And I think that the target player for them is Chris Olave, the wide receiver out of Ohio State. The reason why I'm thinking they're going for Chris Olave is because the Chiefs are all about speed, and more speed. They brought in Marquez Valdes-Scantling to handle the deep threat abilities and whatnot. But Chris Olave is more of a true bona fide number one than Marquez is. So it makes a lot of sense for Kansas City to make this move to go up and replace Tyreek Hill with Chris Olave, who is pretty similar to Tyreek. Not as agile, but certainly has blazing speed and can really, really be a potentially good receiver in this class. And I think he's personally my favorite receiver in this class. And now we're back on the clock again for the Philadelphia Eagles, sitting at 18, where I think this pick is going to be for a pick that they really could use some help at, and that is at cornerback. So I think that this is going to be Trent McDuffie out of Washington. This is a really good scheme fit in general. Trent McDuffie is pretty much tailor-made for the zone for zone coverage, and Philadelphia employs zone coverage a good portion of the time. So just from the fact that he is just available here at 18 is probably too good to pass up on. And at number 19, the New Orleans Saints are probably at this juncture looking for a receiver, and somebody a little bit different than Michael Thomas, who is a bigger body type of receiver. Jameson Williams is not like that. He's kind of like in between. He's really got some blazing speed, and the New Orleans Saints generally do like speedy guys. They do have some speedy guys in like Traquan Smith and whatnot, but Traquan is more of like a number 3 type of guy. Jameson Williams here could help give the Saints a number 2 receiver here, and Williams has got the ACL. I understand that, But this guy has really, really good upside, and I think that New Orleans could very much go for a high upside guy in Jameson, who was probably just too good to pass up on. And I know I had him going later in the first round because of the ACL, but I think he might go a little bit earlier than I originally thought that he would go. And then at number 20 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I was fighting this one between Malik Willis and other different positions of need that they have. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think that they just really seem pretty well-rounded right now, except for on the offensive line. I really think I think that this is going to be a very good football team. I know a lot of people want to say Mitchell Trubisky, he sucks. The Steelers aren't going to do anything because they have Trubisky. Nah, Trubisky with a loaded team? I don't know. It's a team sport, not a quarterback sport. So, and I know that Mitchell is signed here for 2 years and everything like that. He's only a short-term answer. And I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers, by virtue of wanting to maybe give some time over, I think they're gonna pull the trigger and they're gonna go for Malik Willis out of Liberty. This guy is pretty much what I think that Mike Tomlin is wanting to go for, and that is a mobile type of quarterback. I know I definitely thought about something different, but I think the Steelers are wanting to go for him, and they're taking him at number 20. And at number 21, the New England Patriots on the clock. It's hard to say where they are going to go. I know that there's a lot of talk about linebacker. I'm not quite sure what is here for them. Devin Lloyd, the linebacker, he's gone. Nakobe Dean, he's a little bit short and a little bit smaller. The Patriots like big linebackers, so I think that this is going to be a spot where I think they move down here for a bigger linebacker at this point, and they could probably trade into the bottom, more towards the bottom of the first round, like in the late 20s. And I think there is a team that's going to come up at the spot, and there's going to be an offer for Bill Belichick. And I think that offer here is going to be coming from the Tennessee Titans, who are targeting a specific type of player. And so at 21, the Tennessee Titans are jumping up right in front of my Green Bay Packers at number 21 to steal away a receiver. And they're going to go for Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. And the reason why the Titans are doing this is because I think you want to be able to give Ryan Tannehill some more options. I really think that the Titans have a good nucleus of receivers. You have A.J. Brown here, but Treylon potentially could really give them something, a dynamic presence. And the comp to Treylon Burks is it's A.J. Brown. These guys are so similar, but the difference here between the two is that Treylon often lined up as a slot receiver for Arkansas, and I think he could really kind of be a pretty interesting fit as that big slot for the Titans. And now with Green Bay up at 22, I'm not going to be as biased I'm not going to be biased. In fact, you guys are probably going to hate me for this, but this is something that I see Brian Gutekunst making. This pick just feels so like a Green Bay Packers Brian Gutekunst classic pick. This one is it's George Karlaftis, the outside linebacker out of Purdue. This guy just makes so much sense to be a Green Bay Packer. He's young, athletic, and I know that the Packers don't really have a huge glaring need at outside linebacker, but the receivers here at this juncture at number 22 are just gone. So I think that this is just a really good best player available scenario for the Packers. So don't give up yet, guys. At 28, there is some potential for the Packers to grab something at this spot. So at 22, this is just a guy that is going to be able to provide a little bit of depth, give the Packers a third option outside of Rashawn and Preston to be able to go and get that quarterback. And the Packers love to put a premium on the outside linebacker position. We've seen this before. when we had Za'Darius, when we had Preston. The Packers at 12, 3 years ago, picked Rashawn Gary. George Karlaftis, to me, feels similar to this. And I think that this is just too good of a player to pass up on. Now that leads me to number 23, to poor Arizona, who is going to miss out on an edge rusher. But I think that there's a lot of potential at the bottom of the first round. So this is why I have Arizona trading out of this spot. And a team that's going to come up at 23 is going to be a team that just moved down. The Los Angeles Chargers are going to move right back up here to be able to get their pick. And at number 23, the LA Chargers are jumping up right in front of the Dallas Cowboys for a potential need that they want, and that is a right tackle guard. And I think the pick here for the Chargers, this one is going to be Zion Johnson, the guard or right tackle out of Boston College. So what I'm thinking here for the Chargers is that maybe they'll try him out at right tackle to replace Brian Bulaga. If not, he can kick over to guard, and he can fill that need at guard too. And now for the Dallas Cowboys at 24. Last time I had them going with a defensive player, which it was Devontae Wyatt out of Georgia. A lot of reports are saying that they're going to go offense. Some are saying receiver. I'm not sure about that. But I think that this pick here is going to be for a replacement for Connor Williams, and this one is going to be for Kenyon Green, the guard out of Texas A&M. He could also possibly play right tackle, so if they don't believe in Terrence Steele at right tackle, perhaps they could probably kick him to right tackle and see what he has. But otherwise, Kenyon, at the very least, will be a good starting guard for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, number 25, I'm going for Andrew Booth for the Buffalo Bills. Just like last time, I've explained where his fit is. Zone scheme, and Andrew Booth is a zone corner all the way. Now, at number 26, we got the New England Patriots being back on the clock again after moving down with Tennessee. And this pick here, I think this one is going to be a very possible pick. It's kind of outside the box. This one is going to be for Quay Walker, the linebacker out of Georgia. Something about Quay Walker to me kind of feels like this is like an old school Bill Belichick type of linebacker. He's a little bit bigger, but he's not huge like Dante Hightower was. And now here up at 27, we got the Tampa Bay Bucks. I had them trading out of the first round, but there's a good player that is just dropping to them, and he fills a need at 3-4 defensive end, and I think that's going to be Georgia's Devontae Wyatt. So we got two back-to-back Georgia Bulldogs going at the bottom of the first round, and I think that Devontae Wyatt is just a really good all-around player, and you need to be able to bring in somebody to fill in the void for Ndamukong Suh, who is still a free agent. He's pretty old anyway, so I think that just seems to make sense to me. Wouldn't surprise me if Tampa Bay goes for a running back here. So Breece Hall is a name to look out for. Now here at number 28, the Packers being back on the clock after having the 22nd overall pick. At number 28, I don't know, you guys. I just don't know what receiver here is going to be what the Packers could go for. It seems like the first round guys are gone. After Treylon Burks, I'm not quite sure. There's just a whole bunch of second round guys, and I'm just not quite sure if the Packers are going to go that direction. I know that in the second round, there's all kinds of really good names that could come right out. Christian Watson is one, George Pickens, Alec Pierce, Jahan Dotson. Those guys are really, really good, talented receivers that might be what the Packers are going to go for. So instead of this, I just kind of get the feeling that the Packers are just not going to go for a receiver here in the first round, you guys. I just know that this is not what the Packers do. Coming from being a Packer fan for so long, I just understand the philosophy. So for 28, the Packers have a guy that just seems to be fitting very much like what the Packers want, and that is Daxton Hill, the free safety out of Michigan. So this pick just seems to make so much sense to me. Daxton is like a star type of player. You can play him at free safety. He can play at nickel cornerback. This seems to me like a Joe Barry defense fit. So if Daxton is in fact here at 28, I think the Packers, it'll be very, very tempting to pick him here at this point. And now here at number 29, the Cardinals are back on the clock after moving down because the outside linebackers were kind of a little bit picked over here in the first round, but there is a pass rusher here who is a little bit raw, but he's got a lot of potential, and I think he could be very good for the Arizona Cardinals, and that's Boye Mafe out of Minnesota. I know that he's a borderline first round, second round grade. I could see him going into the second round, slipping right out entirely, but I think that the Chandler Jones vacancy is just so glaring for Arizona to where I just don't see them passing up on an outside linebacker at this juncture. This is a pretty good range, I think, for Boye, and that's where I think the Cardinals are most likely to go, is probably outside linebacker pretty early. If not, I think they could possibly be looking at cornerbacks or some offensive linemen. They need to shore up that offensive line for Kyler Murray, so that's where I think that's where they're going to go. Okay, and with the Kansas City Chiefs and now at number 30, this one is probably going to be for a cornerback that could be a little bit of a reach, but there's a whole lot of buzz about him possibly being picked here at the bottom of the first, and that's Kyrie Elam, the cornerback out of Florida. And the reason why there are some knocks on him is because of some tackling inabilities. He's not the best tackler, but man, does he just fit really what the Kansas City Chiefs do. He's a really good, long, tall press corner. The Kansas City Chiefs really like to get down and get dirty. They like to press. They really like to go for hardcore press man. They get grabby. Charvarius Ward, he's gone. Elam here, I think, would be a pretty good fit here for the Chiefs down here at number 30. And with the Cincinnati Bengals, this pick, I think, is probably going to be for just a really good value player here. And this is Nakobe Dean, the outside linebacker from Georgia. And the reason why I think Cincinnati could go here is because they just don't really, they've had a little bit of a weakness at linebacker for quite some time. You have Logan Wilson, he's good. Jermaine Pratt, he's pretty good. I just think maybe you can possibly use Nakobe Dean for some potential, just some competition, if you will, and have some guys battle it out. Nakobe Dean is a really good instinctive player. He plays the run really well. He's pretty good out in pass coverage. He can just really help out a pretty good. He can just help out the Cincinnati Bengals and for the linebacking core and shore it up a little bit better. And at number 32, with the last pick in the first round, the Lions are back on the clock after having the second overall pick. They are going to go for a bookend safety here, Lewis Cine out of Georgia. So two back-to-back Georgia Bulldogs going here in the first round yet again. The reason why this seems to make sense to me, you got Tracy Walker, who is a good free safety. There just isn't too much for strong safety. Lewis can play both, so can Tracy. If you can have these two guys, to me, Lewis Cine is very, very good to pass up at this juncture for Detroit. And he's a really good, hard-working player, and that's something that Dan Campbell really likes out of his players, is the work ethic and just a character as well. And I think Lewis just kind of fits what Detroit is about. So this is probably going to be it for the first round of the 2022 mock draft. I know it went long, and thank you for bearing in with me if you did watch throughout the entirety of the mock draft. If you just watched for your team, I understand. You just want to be able to see what I think of what I'm going to be picking for your team. And with that, hopefully I didn't do too terrible for you guys. But like I said, this is just my best prediction for whichever of the respective teams that are going to be picking for their teams come day 1 and day 2 of the drafts. And then day three is always, of course, a mystery, and you never know what can happen. There could be some crazy things that can happen for the NFL draft. There always is, you guys. And don't be surprised if we get some crazy draft steals, some crazy reaches. We've seen this time and time again. It's just a matter of how teams view certain players, and that's just how things are going to go down. And so with that, you guys can go ahead and check out the second and third rounds, and you can guys go and see for yourselves what went down for day 2 on who I picked for your teams. So that is going to be it for my analysis of the day 1 draft picks, and I will catch you guys later for the NFL draft. I will cover you guys for some of the Green Bay Packers picks by being a Green Bay Packers fan. I'm going to give you guys my reaction out of all the draft picks